27th of Adar, Chaf Zayin Adar, marks the Hilul of a very famous Portuguese Dutch rabbi. His name was Rabbi Yצחק Aboab דה-פונסקה, Zeche Tzadik Libracha, one of the great rabbis of his time, respectively. I believe he was born in English year 1605. He was born in, according to another opinion, it was 1612, and he passed away around 1693, to be precise, April the 4th, 1693. He was a great rabbi, he was a great scholar, he was a Kabbalist, he was an author, he wrote many different great Torah books in of itself. I believe in the year 1656, he was one of several great rabbis within the Portuguese Jewish community in Amsterdam, very much so, which we've spoken about that specific period. And it's reported over, he was one of the religious leaders that would go on to excommunicate the philosopher Baruch Spinoza. That was in 1656. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. Now, he was born actually in Portugal, in the town called Castro Daire. He came from an Aboab, the Aboab family in itself. Very interesting enough. I believe his family and parents happened to be conversos. They were Jews that had been forcibly converted to Christianity. It was reported over. Although the family had ostensibly converted to Christianity, this did not put, let's say, an add to local anti-Semitic suspicions over there. I believe in the year 1581, this was before he was born, the Dutch Republic seceded from the Spanish Empire at that point in time, and this caused, obviously, at that point in time, significant immigration of Sephardic Jews to the Netherlands, especially in the late 1500s. Come on, 1603, it was made legal in the Netherlands to practice Judaism in open. So for a while period, you weren't able to do that. In 1612, when Rabbi Isaac, or he would become Rabbi Isaac, was only 7 years of age, the family would then move to Amsterdam at that point in time, obviously with the, let's say, the safety measures over there. From that moment on, the family, let's say, they were able to be openly Jewish again at that stage in time. I'm not too sure what happened in the window of time before that. And Rabbi Yitzchak would be raised with all the Jewish sphere surrounding him. From that specific moment on, there was no issues. Now, it's actually interesting, we've spoken about another famous rabbi that made his mark in a British Jewry, Rabbi Menashe ben Israel. So together with Rabbi Menashe ben Israel, he would study under, I think, let's say, a scholar, a doctor, a poet. He was a mathematician also, Rabbi Yitzchak Uziel. So it's interesting, Rabbi Uziel would open, let's say, a Gemara, a Torah school of his own at that point in time. And Rabbi Aboab and Rabbi Menashe ben Israel, I think, would actually go on to have robust debates at that point in time, especially in 1629. They would have, like, let's say, a debate about the writings of Yosef Solomon del Mediguno. And there was, let's say, there was a lot of communication. It was very robust, but it led to fierce, let's say, debates in of itself. When he was 8, it just showed that he was really, really, the sharp mind he had. At the age of 18, he was appointed to become the Chacham for the Bet Yisrael. This was one of 3 Sephardic communities at that stage in time in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, respectively. This would later on, I think, merge with other communities. In order, let's say, to be distinguished from, he had a cousin actually called Rabbi Yitzchak ben Matitya Aboab. He added his mother's last name, דה-פונסיקה, to his own. So that's why he's popularly known as that name also in nowadays. Come on, the year 1642. I think he was invited by Moses Cohen Henriquez, who was appointed rabbi at Kahal Zor Yisrael synagogue in Recife. I think this was in Dutch Brazil, let's just say. It was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Portuguese Jews from Amsterdam, at that say, were a significant segment of the European population there. Were very, very famous. I'd recommend everyone to learn about the Portuguese Amsterdam history. Many had first emigrated to Amsterdam because obviously there was a huge amount of persecution by the Portuguese Inquisition. Let's say, and opportunities they wanted to, let's say, pursue commerce in the Atlantic world at that stage in time. By becoming the rabbi, let's say, of the Portuguese Jewish community in Recife, Rabbi Aboab Fonseca was probably one of the first appointed rabbis of the Americas, along with the rabbinic companion Rav Moshe Raphael de Eguala. I think we mentioned about him before. Now it's interesting, this congregation called the Kahal Zor Yisrael synagogue, it had a mikveh, and I think it was a yeshiva as well. So it very much was a proper Torah Jewish center. And I think of the, let's say, the New World at that stage in time, that was one of the first ones. It's actually interesting. During Rabbi Fonseca's tenure as a rabbi in Pernambuco, the Portuguese, I think, actually attacked the Dutch colony. That resulted in things. The Portuguese, who were, let's say, animated in part by the Jesuit priest, who said, had they opened synagogues there, and I think there was a lot of problems at that point in time. I mean, a lot of anti-Semitism. Had they opened synagogues there to the scandal of Christianity, calling for the reconquest of the colony and destruction of Jews? That's anti-Semitism that was facing them now. We see it wasn't just today, it was all throughout Jewish history. The Portuguese would then go on to reoccupy the capital of Recife in 1654, and this would take a struggle of 9 years, as to say. The Jewish community would fight alongside the Dutch army, which refused to surrender until the Portuguese guaranteed they would allow the safe passages of Jews at that point in time. Rabbi Aboab then returned to Amsterdam. Some members of his community would go on to immigrate to North America and were among the founders of the New Amsterdam. This is something I recommend everyone to learn about. Back in Amsterdam, Rabbi Aboab דה-פונסיקה would be appointed the chief rabbi for the Sephardic community over there, which was a very prominent position. He was one of several scholars that would go on to put Baruch Spinoza into excommunication, into Cherem. This was reported over. When Rabbi Aboab knew first as a student in Yeshiva, and then in, let's say, there was evening discussions, which saw, I think, Saul Levi Morviera, I think Rav Menashe also, Ben Yisrael, and Rav Aboab also, I believe that was the people along them. Now it's actually interesting. He would have Kabbalistic leanings also. He published various books on Kabbalah. He was one of the many fervent Sephardic supporters in Amsterdam, and I think initially, if I'm not mistaken, of Shabtai Tzvi. This was originally, I believe, until the Shabtai's apostasy in September 1666. This was quoted over, apparently. During the tenure, let's just say, of Rabbi Aboab דה-פונסיקה, the Sephardi community really flourished and boomed at that point in time. There was a construction of the new Portuguese synagogue. This was in Esnoga, and it was prompted by, let's say, a sermon delivered by him in 1671. We're talking about nearly around 350 years ago. I think it was inaugurated less than 4 years later, in August the 2nd, in 1675. This will be the day after Tisha B'Av, 10th of Av, respectively. Now, it's reported that he passed away in the year 1693 on April the 4th, and he was aged 88 years of age. That was naturally on the 27th of Adar. Now, it's reported that he left many, many works, including a translation from Spanish into Hebrew on the works of the Kabbalist Rabbi Avram Cohen de Herrera. I think it's Shar Hashemayim and Beit Elokim. This was in Amsterdam in the year 1655. Now, it's interesting. I think various different legacies were actually commemorated within regards to him all throughout history because of this, but there was very different things. I think there was a chiburo also of the Machberet Nishmat Chayim, which would remain also in manuscript form, a Ketav Yad. I think, there was many other books also. There were commemoration, I believe there was a book, if I'm not mistaken, was actually printed in the year 2007, obviously only about just under 20 years ago, and also in 2015 with regards to him. He was a famous rabbi, someone of the famous rabbis from the Netherlands and of Portuguese heritage. 27th of Adar is his Hilula, and friends, we're a community here, we're learning about the great rabbis of yesteryear. If you feel anyone is interested in watching any of these videos, share the videos to other people. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel. And if you happen to be related to any of the Chachamim we're speaking about in this series, please let me know. I would love to hear more. So wishing you blessings here from the city of Bet Shemesh. Take care and have a great day.